Let's start with a premise that you probably take for granted. You think you're a single unified being, right? That the voice in your head is yours, that your body is yours to command. Well, what if I told you that this entire feeling of being an I is basically a convenient illusion? Here's the core idea, the one that changes everything. You aren't an individual. You are a holobiont, which basically means you're the fleshy, walking, talking container for a massive, sprawling superorganism. So what exactly is a holobiont? Well, think of it as the sum total of you, your human cells, and the trillions upon trillions of microbes living inside you and on you. And in this partnership, you're not exactly the senior partner. So how in the world does this colony talk to its command center? Well, it all happens through a direct connection, a kind of biological superhighway between your gut and your brain. And believe me, it is not what you think it is.
The first thing you need to do is forget about digestion, just for a minute. Instead, I want you to picture your gut as this massive intelligence gathering network. It is constantly running surveillance, monitoring every little thing, and sending real-time reports straight to headquarters, your brain.
Now, here's where it gets wild. Look at the traffic on this superhighway, the vagus nerve. For the longest time, we thought it was a top-down command line, the brain telling the gut what to do. But the reality is the complete opposite. A whopping 80 to 90% of the signals are flowing up from the gut to the brain. Your brain isn't giving orders. It's mostly just listening to this constant flood of information coming from below. And we're not talking about slow, meandering hormonal signals that take minutes. No, this is a direct, hardwired connection. There are these specialized cells in your gut lining, they're called neuropods, and they literally taste the chemical environment your microbes are creating. These cells then plug directly into your nervous system and fire off signals to your brain almost instantly using glutamate. So how fast are we talking? Milliseconds. This isn't like sending a letter, it's like a fiber optic data stream. Your gut is telling your brain what's going on in near real time. Okay, so this super fast connection starts to make a lot more sense when we throw out some of the old pop science myths and really get a handle on the true scale of this relationship. You've probably heard this one for years, right? That you're outnumbered 10 to 1 by bacteria. Well, the latest research shows it's much closer to a 1.3 to 1 ratio. We're basically a 50-50 hybrid. And that huge surface area of your gut, it's not a tennis court, but it's still about the size of a studio apartment. As for the weight, it's not a heavy 2-kilogram organ, but a much lighter 200 grams, about the same as a can of soda. But don't let that fool you, it has the metabolic punch of your liver. But here's the thing, while the cell count might be a close call, when we start talking about genetics, that's where the story shifts from a partnership to an absolute, total takeover. Okay, get ready for this. Your own human genome, the blueprint for you, has about 20,000 genes. The combined genome of the microbes inside you? It's estimated to be somewhere between 2 and 20 million genes. I mean, that's not even in the same league. And this just puts it in the starkest terms possible. When you look at the sheer amount of genetic information running your body, the code that actually builds you and keeps you going, 1% is human, 99% is microbial. You've essentially outsourced almost all of your biological programming to a foreign colony living in your gut. So what happens when the communication between the 1% and the 99% breaks down? What happens when the system crashes? Well, you experience it, but probably not as a stomachache. You experience it as a psychiatric event. Let's just take serotonin, for example, the famous happy chemical, right? You'd assume it's made in the brain, but nope. A staggering 95% of your body's serotonin is produced in your gut by your microbes. So if the factory floor in your gut is in chaos, guess what happens to your mood? It goes even deeper than just chemicals, though. Your stomach actually has its own electrical beat, a slow, steady pulse, kind of like a pacemaker. It's the bass drum for your entire body. And this is the truly mind-bending part. Your brain's own resting rhythm, those alpha waves that are linked to feeling calm and relaxed, they are literally synchronized to the beat of your stomach. It's a phenomenon called gastric brain coupling. You know that feeling of butterflies in your stomach? That's not a metaphor. That's your brain and your stomach falling out of sync. Your stomach is literally the metronome for your mind. And a full-on system crash can be devastating. Inflammation in your gut can trigger what's called sickness behavior, that feeling of exhaustion, not wanting to do anything, just wanting to be alone. Or even worse, something called molecular mimicry. That's when your immune system is trying to fight a bad bug in your gut, but it gets confused and starts attacking your own nerve cells. It's a tragic case of friendly fire. All of this brings us to the biggest, most profound question of them all. If this colony of microbes is influencing our mood, our energy, even our immune system, then who exactly is pulling the strings? I mean, really think about it. Are your choices, your cravings, maybe even your sense of right and wrong, are they truly coming from you? The evidence is starting to pile up. We know that certain bacteria can hijack your brain's reward system, releasing dopamine to make you feel good when you eat the sugary, fatty foods that they want. That junk food craving, it might not be your weakness. It might be them pulling your levers. And it goes beyond food. In one experiment, the type of bacteria in a person's gut could actually predict how they'd react to an unfair offer in a game, linking gut microbes to a sense of justice. So, the takeaway here is pretty stark. We're not the captains of our own ship. It's more like we're the zookeepers of a chaotic internal ecosystem, an ecosystem that we hold, hopefully, on a leash.
Which leaves us with one last, deeply unsettling question to think about. If you take a strong course of antibiotics and wipe out a huge chunk of that 99%, when a new colony eventually grows back, are you still the same you?